Now that the school year is finally wrapped up and summer breaks in full swing, I finally got a breather. Even with a fellow leftover project still lurking around, I managed to carve out some time for myself. And what better way to kick things off than diving into the Phoenix Wright x Professor Layton crossover? But while playing this game, it got me a little bit of thinking about how writers come up with these wild, layered scenarios, ones that feel so real that make you do a double take. Like, how do you even begin writing a crime that feels like it could actually happen? So I have asked myself, do they take inspiration from actual crime scenes and cases, or just other novels? And like always, I have done some research, and you could have guessed it. They do. They do actually take inspiration from real life cold cases, crime scenes, things like that. And what other franchise is the best one to use to explain all this other than the man or boy himself, Detective Conan? And so today I want to talk about Detective Conan's wildest murder cases that weren't entirely fictional. And with over 1,000 chapters and episodes since 1994, Detective Conan is a treasure trove of ingenious mysteries. Creator Gosho Aoyama draws liberally on detective story tradition, and even names his child sleuth, Conan Edogawa, to honor Arthur Conan Doyle and the Japanese mystery writer Edogawa Rampo. Not this one, the other one. But alongside these literary influences, Aoyama has researched real crimes and legends to inspire plots. And in this video, I want to shine the light on and inspect some of Conan's most memorable cases back to true events, urban myths, and folklore, showing how reality sometimes inspires the manga mysteries. Hey, real quick before we move forward, if you're enjoying the video, please do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, if it's possible, leave a comment behind, because it helps more than you think with the algorithm. Just helps me keep making cool, nice content for people like you. No pressure though, no pressure. Think of it like planting a seed. You support the growth of real thoughtful content. Mm, That's all I have to say. Alright, let's get back into it. First, I want to talk a bit about the backstory. So, I want to give a little background information. Aoyama is famously a fan of classic detectives and mystery novels. In interviews, he cited Sherlock Holmes, Arsène Lupin, and even Kurosawa films as inspirations for his cases. Conan Edogawa himself blends those influences. His name, like I told earlier, comes from Doyle and the pen name of Rampo. Behind the scenes, Aoyama and his team meticulously craft each case. He spends hours ensuring the gimmicks, the trick mechanisms are plausible, even consulting his scientist brother on technical details. This devotion adds realism to Conan's adventure, and the methods feel concrete rather than purely fantastical. In fact, when some fans notice a resemblance to actual crimes, Aoyama quietly acknowledges parallels without naming sources. Okay, so right now I want to discuss a few cases from the anime, the manga, and the movies. And before we start with those, there are major spoilers for the franchise. So if you still want to watch Conan without getting spoiled, here's your warning. Are you still there? Alright, let's start. You had your chance to prevent yourself from hearing any spoilers. So in this episode, Conan solves a classic locked room mystery involving a mass poisoning. A disguised assailant posing as a health official invites victims to take shots of medicine and then calmly exits, leaving people suddenly dead from poison. The real inspiration behind this case mirrors the 1948 in Tokyo, where a man claiming to be a US health officer that handed out dysentery inoculations to bank employees and left 12 of them dead. That chilling imposter poisoning made headlines and became a touchstone in Japanese crime history. Aoyama's locked room plot clearly nods to the case. Both involve an innocuous sounding remedy, a disguised murderer, and mass casualties. In Conan's tale, the motive and setting differ, and the detective unravels a revenge scheme, but the core of the poisoned inoculation trick is lifted straight from the headlines. The case has even influenced other mysteries, and it was fictionalized in novels and films. So Conan's usage continues a long tradition of locked room homage. You have the Moonlight Sonata murder case, where a renowned pianist named Keiichi Aso killed his family, set his house aflame, and played Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata as he died. Years later, on a remote island, local officials and mayors die under suspicious circumstances with the sonata mysteriously playing on a piano, fueling legends of a cursed melody. Conan uncovers a scheme involving blackmail, hidden passages, and a secret murder pattern tied to the haunting piano tune. And the real-world parallels behind this is Beethoven's Piano Sonata number 14 that has long been the subject of dark myths. Contrary to rumors that Beethoven wrote it as a suicide note, he actually dedicated it to his pupil Countess Guicciardi. I hope I have pronounced that right. Anyway, nonetheless, urban legends and Gothic tales have attached spooky significance to this sonata. Aoyama exploits his lore. Conan's episode taps into superstitions about ghostly music and cursed compositions. The idea of a haunted piano or a deadly melody plays on the popular myth rather than a specific crime. In a broader sense, Conan's Moonlight Sonata plot resonates with real cases where perpetrators use music to set a mood or as a clue. For example, some criminals have mimicked famous musical clues. And here, music isn't the direct real crime reference but an atmospheric hook, blending non-legends with Aoyama's original murder scheme. The next one is the Kōshien bomber case. During a championship baseball tournament at the iconic Kōshien Stadium, a mysterious bomber threatens to blow up the stadium unless paid off. Conan thwarts complex time bombs and tracks down the culprits among attendees and officials, mixing race against the clock with forensic sleuthing. The historical context behind this is that Japan has been deeply conscious of public security threats around large events, especially since the 1990s. In 1995, for example, the Shinrikyo cult executed Tokyo's sarin gas subway attack, killing 13 people. That year and thereafter saw heightened fear of terrorism at crowded venues, such as sports, concerts, and transit. Conan's stadium bomb plot echoes that era's anxiety. It's easy to imagine organizers and fans on edge after news of any bomb threat. While no specific real-life Kōshien bombing occurred, Aoyama drew on the general atmosphere of the 90s threatscapes. The movie premiered in 2006, but its screenplay was conceived earlier when global sports events like the 1972 Munich Olympics or local high-profile games were often guarded against saboteurs. Thus, Conan's fearsome scenario reflects real protocols like bomb squads and evacuation drills in high-stakes matches. The villain's methods, like the hidden timers and baseball gear-coded threats, sound sensational, yet they play unknown terror tactics, giving the story grit. And last but not least, we got the Paper Demon serial murders. In this arc, there's a mysterious figure known as the Paper Demon that allegedly kills people one by one, leaving behind folded paper figurines at each crime scene. The police suspect folklore and perhaps even a supernatural curse, but Conan, however, identifies the very human serial killer following a pattern rooted in jealousy and urban legends. The folklore roots behind this is the name and the trappings drawn on Japanese yokai or supernatural creatures. The name and trappings draw on Japanese yokai traditions. The Paper Demon echoes the Tsuchigumo or Yorogumo legends, shape-shifting spirits that lure and kill humans. In the Tottori Spider-Mansion demon case of Conan, which is a different arc, a spider curse literally haunted a family. And in the Paper Demon arc, Aoyama similarly weaves local legend into a chain of murderers, tapping into the idea that ritualistic symbols can mask a serial killer's vengeance. The real-world serial crimes often involve a pattern or signature. The knickknacks Conan deciphers are analogous to how some killers leave calling cards, for instance at several crime scenes in Japan, like the Gravelia, Tsuchigumo, or the Echigo incidents, are unusual motives or pseudo-rituals that confuse investigators. Conan's paper folding clue reflects that tradition. And putting a mythical ID next to a logical reason is a common trick in detective stories, but Aoyama ties it to real Japanese beliefs. Fans have noticed that the term paper god hints at local folklore, even though this Shirigami case is something Conan came up with himself. Basing mysteries on reality gives Aoyama's stories extra weight. Real events lend a sense of the thought like it could actually happen in real life and engage readers with familiar echoes of history. For example, invoking the 1948 Teigin case or the Alam's terror attack that makes detention immediate. Like Japanese audiences know those names, so a few details evoke whole atmospheres. By contrast, purely outlandish crimes are risking to feel flat. Grounding them in actual psychology and logistics makes the solutions more satisfying. And at the same time, Aoyama is careful. He respects victims of real tragedy. He has indicated in interviews that he avoids retelling a suffering exactly as it happened, instead using it only as a loose motive. So a Conan episode will borrow a trick or mood from a real crime but builds its own fictional narrative around it. And I think that this is why each case feels both authentic and dramatized and is done so well. In fact, Aoyama even double-checks the ingenuity of his plots. He often spends hours on a single case to keep dialogue simple and the detective work realistic and then smart. His brother, which is a scientist, even help ensure the mechanics of poisons, traps, and gadgets so they hold together. And while the result is a world that's fantastical, a boy sleuth saving the day, yet edged with the realism of actual detective work. And of course, fictionalizing real horrors raises ethics. Aoyama avoids sensationalism by shifting details and treating the subject matter with gravity. Detective Conan often highlights the misery of crime victims and the pain of remorseful culprits. In many cases, the series emphasizes human motives like jealousy, greed, desperation, over glory, grounding fantastical elements in real emotion. This balance, respect for real suffering mixed with imaginative plotting, is part of Conan's appeal. Fans appreciate it even when the scenario is wild, like exploding ships, laser-trapped tunnels. It feels plausible. And Aoyama has said he aims only to breathe life into old tropes, not to glorify violence. And by acknowledging his sources and tweaking them, he maintains that line between homage and exploitation. Because Conan's world is so detailed, fans love to connect it to reality. Online forums and blogs buzz with speculation about which real cases might lurk behind an episode. Some readers even solve Conan's mysteries in advance using clues from the story or related news articles. They correctly guess the culprit or method before it's revealed on screen. Others spot eerie coincidences. For instance, at the website detectiveconanworld.com, users noted that just weeks after Conan's manga introduced a dramatic bus hijacking case, which are the manga chapters 287 until 289, that the real Tokyo bus was hijacked in May 2000 by a teen posting online. The parallels between those cases were uncanny. Both incidents and fiction involved hostage taking on a public bus and demands for ransom. Fortunately, in real life, the hostages escaped safely. That's a great thing. But stories like this make fans wonder if Conan somehow predicted events. In another example, news outlets reported a 2010 murder in Korea where youths imitated a Conan solution. They drained a victim's blood to dispose of the body, exactly as shown in an episode. Though happily the show was blamed only for the method, not the crime itself. This incident, originating in police interviews, was picked up on anime and news blogs, and gave Detective Conan a strange notoriety. Communities have even compiled books and articles chronicling these inspirations. Japanese fan sites publish lists of supposed real-world counterparts to Conan cases, and so-called case books exist also online in both English and Japanese, analyzing which episodes mirror which crime or legend. Manga editors have occasionally acknowledged nods to famous stories. Indeed, Volume 10 of Conan includes endnotes hinting at inspiration. All this fan detective work keeps interest high. Readers rewatch episodes, follow behind the scenes interviews, and celebrate when they catch an Easter egg. For the most dedicated, solving a Conan case is a hobby akin to solving the originals. In that way, the series has blurred lines. It entertains as fiction but invites a real investigation into history and myth. So, Detective Conan's world is a funhouse, mirror reflecting our reality. By reworking historical crimes, urban legends, and even pop culture episodes into its mysteries, the series reminds us that truth can be stranger than fiction. Many of the strangest cases, like locked rooms and drowning dives, cursed melodies, and stadium bombs, are grounded into something real. Conan Edogawa often solves the made-up extremes of criminology, but readers can take solace that the seeds of those puzzles sometimes grow from true events. The next time you watch Conan close in on a culprit, remember, behind the cool gadgetry and clever reveals, there may lie a dash of actual history. After all, in the world of Conan, the line between anime and real life is as fine as a folded paper demon, and just as intriguing. So yeah, this was basically the video. If you have enjoyed it, please consider subscribing, a comment here and there, and like as more videos are coming up. Also, I would really appreciate it, and it would really help me grow. So yeah, it was really nice to hang out with you, and I hope I'll see you again in the next one. Take care, and bye bye.